Virgo, you who always plan ahead, who build order out of chaos, who protect yourself through preparation, listen closely. You've spent your whole life mastering control. Every moment calculated, every outcome predicted, every detail neatly folded into a plan. But what happens when the universe decides to rearrange the plan you thought was flawless? What happens when something appears, not in your schedule, not in your logic, not in your hands, but right in your path, demanding to be felt instead of solved? This is that moment. You've always believed that peace comes from perfection, that safety comes from knowing what's next. But in the last days of October, something beyond your control will arrive, not to destroy your order, but to teach you that alignment often hides inside uncertainty. The ground beneath your steady feet may tremble, not in warning, but in awakening. What if the thing you fear most, losing control, is actually the beginning of your greatest freedom? The universe has watched you measure every possibility, Virgo. It has seen the lists, the timelines, the quiet panic when things don't fit the plan. But now, it wants to show you what happens when you stop managing life and start meeting it. Not everything beautiful is built. Some things simply arrive. You may feel a sudden shift, a message, a delay, a coincidence too perfect to ignore. Don't resist it. Don't overanalyze it. Just breathe. Because what's unfolding isn't chaos. It's alignment. A divine rearrangement meant to free you from the cage of constant preparation. This isn't a warning, Virgo. It's a calling. To loosen your grip. To trust your timing. To remember that the same wisdom you use to perfect the world around you also exists inside you. Wild, intuitive, and ready to lead you somewhere new. And before we continue, take a moment to ground yourself. You're watching Mindfulness Meditation, where we bring light to the unseen patterns shaping your life. If this message resonates with your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us create more stories that speak directly to your soul. Now, let's step deeper together. Because something unexpected is coming, not to break your order, but to expand it. Something you didn't plan, yet have been preparing for all along. It's time, Virgo, to trust what you cannot predict. The unplanned turn. When the universe rearranges Virgo's perfect order, it begins quietly, as it always does for you, Virgo. The air thickens, time bends, and somewhere in the rhythm of your perfectly measured life, something goes offbeat. You feel it before you see it, that subtle tremor beneath the surface, like a piano key pressed by an unseen hand. The last days of October carry a peculiar vibration, one that doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't wait for you to plan or prepare. It simply arrives. You, who have always lived by precision, suddenly stand before the unknown. And yet, here's the miracle. This time, you don't resist. Because somewhere deep within, beyond the lists, the logic, the constant analysis of what could go wrong, there's a small, still voice whispering, what if this isn't chaos? What if it's divine timing? For so long, Virgo, control has been your armor. You built order like a cathedral, brick by careful brick, shielding yourself from the unpredictable winds of life. You believed safety came from understanding, from anticipating every turn before it arrived. But there's a secret the universe has been trying to tell you. Not everything that falls apart is a tragedy. Some things crumble because they were too small for who you're becoming. This, the unplanned turn, is not punishment. It's a sacred rearrangement. A divine interruption meant to reroute you toward the version of yourself that cannot be constructed by logic alone. When it happens, it won't look holy. It will look inconvenient. A project fails. A plan dissolves. A person you trusted suddenly shifts their role in your life. The calendar that once felt like a map starts to feel like a maze. But inside this disarray is a strange peace, the kind that makes you stop fighting what's slipping away and start trusting what's arriving. The moment you stop resisting, the lesson begins to bloom. You'll realize that the universe doesn't destroy your plans out of cruelty. It dismantles them because they're too small to contain the life waiting for you. You've spent years curating perfection, but perfection, Virgo, is sterile. It leaves no room for miracles. This is your initiation into divine disorder. It's the art of letting go with grace, the power of standing in the middle of uncertainty and still saying, I trust this. Because control may build walls, but surrender builds bridges. And this turn, the one you didn't plan, the one you would never have chosen, is a bridge leading you back to your own heart. Every Virgo has a secret longing, to know that they are safe even when life is not predictable. And this season, the universe gives you that very proof. When everything falls out of rhythm, your true rhythm is revealed. If you look closer, you'll notice how divine timing moves like music. It doesn't rush, it doesn't delay, it syncs perfectly with your growth. And sometimes, the melody shifts mid-song to pull you into a higher harmony. That's what's happening now. The wave entering your life isn't meant to drown you. It's meant to carry you into a wider ocean, one you've spent years avoiding out of fear it couldn't hold you. So when the unexpected arrives, and it will, don't tighten your grip. Open your palms. Let it move through you. The unplanned moment will not break you. It will reveal you. Years from now, you'll look back and smile at how the divine disguised itself as chaos. You'll see that what you called loss was really liberation. What felt like disorder was the rearranging of your destiny. So breathe, Virgo. Step aside from the blueprint. Let the universe write this next chapter for you, not with your pen, but with its own. Because sometimes the most beautiful parts of your story begin the moment you stop trying to edit the script. For me, this story of Virgo isn't just about astrology, it's about every human who's ever mistaken control for safety. Life, in its wisdom, often disrupts us to deliver us. And maybe the ultimate act of faith isn't in believing that everything will go according to plan, but in trusting that even when it doesn't, we're still exactly where we need to be. The sacred interruption. When the universe rewrites Virgo's plan. There comes a moment in every Virgo's life when logic falters, when the well-drawn maps no longer lead to the destination they promised. It begins quietly. A flicker in the stillness. A dream that feels too vivid, a song that plays at the perfect time, a stranger's words that echo something you've never spoken aloud. These are not random. These are the subtle signals, the universe's way of whispering, pay attention, something is shifting. For most people, such moments are brushed aside as coincidence. But for Virgo, the one who notices every misplaced detail, these whispers land differently. You feel them in your pulse, in the way the air thickens just before something changes. The logical part of you tries to explain it away. Fatigue, emotion, coincidence. But the deeper self, the ancient part of your soul that existed before schedules and deadlines, knows that what's approaching is not chaos. It's alignment. When these signals arrive, they rarely announce themselves with fireworks. They come in the language of intuition. A sudden hesitation before you send an email. A dream that wakes you at 3 a.m. with a feeling you can't name. A delay that frustrates you, only to protect you from what you can't yet see. Every wrong turn begins to shimmer with secret purpose. And while your rational mind may rebel, something inside you exhales, as if it finally recognizes a pattern written long ago. I've seen this cycle countless times, in clients, in friends, in the mirror. The Virgo journey isn't about control, it's about learning when to release it. You were born with the gift of discernment, the sacred ability to see what others miss. But that same precision can sometimes become a prison. You mistake preparation for peace, predictability for safety. The universe, in its infinite patience, waits until you've perfected the plan, and then, with divine tenderness, interrupts it. That interruption is not punishment, it's redirection. A sacred one. The job that ends, the partnership that dissolves, the opportunity that vanishes just when you were ready, all of it forms part of a larger choreography you didn't design but somehow belong to. Life doesn't destroy your plans to make you suffer. It does so to make room for something that fits your soul better than your schedule. And here lies the paradox. Virgo, the master of order, is being asked to trust disorder. To believe that the unseen hand knows what your spreadsheets cannot predict. To understand that the universe's interruptions are often invitations to growth, to grace, to greatness. When I speak of this sacred interruption, I'm not talking about quitting or surrendering in despair. I'm talking about pausing, long enough to listen, to sense which direction still hums with life, and which has gone silent. Every soul reaches a crossroad where it must choose, hold on to what's safe, or leap into what feels extraordinary. And for you, Virgo, that leap is not reckless, it's holy. Remember this, the universe speaks first in whispers, then in storms. The signs you're noticing, the delays, the dreams, the unexpected turns, are not there to confuse you, but to confirm that you're ready. Ready for something purer, freer, more aligned with who you've quietly become. The life you've been building with structure is about to be rebuilt with soul. And yes, it may feel terrifying at first. Letting go always does. But on the other side of that release is something luminous. the peace that comes not from controlling the outcome, but from knowing you are guided, even when blindfolded. So if things seem to pause, to twist, to stall, don't rush to fix them. Don't call it failure. Stand still. Breathe. There's a divine intelligence rearranging your path in your favor. What feels like delay is direction. What feels like loss is space being cleared for grace. Because sometimes, Virgo, the only way the universe can get your attention is by interrupting your perfect plan. And when that happens, trust it. You're not being stopped. You're being shifted. The plan wasn't wrong. It was simply too small for the magnitude of who you're becoming. You'll lose your footing only to discover wings, the three callings of Virgo. There's a hush before the turn, Virgo. A strange stillness, like the world inhaling before something shifts. You've walked through this year counting steps, measuring moments, mapping out the details of what should happen, and yet, as the last light of October stretches across your path, you can feel it. Something unplanned is coming. Not a threat, but a threshold. Because this time, destiny isn't asking for your permission. It's asking for your trust. The first calling, for the Virgo born between August 23rd and September 1st. The world has been watching your quiet diligence. You've been faithful to the process, showing up, refining, perfecting, waiting for the moment when all that effort would matter. And suddenly, it does. But not in the way you thought. A door opens, not the one you were knocking on, but the one beside it, the one you never noticed because you were too focused on what should work. This is the divine irony of life. The opportunity that changes everything rarely wears the costume of your expectations. It slips in disguised as an accident, a delay, a detour, yet it's the map you didn't know you'd drawn. Maybe it's a new role, a project, a conversation that awakens your sleeping courage. You'll feel it instantly, the vibration of something aligned with your deeper purpose. It will not ask you to prove yourself, only to show yourself. And for the first time in a long time, your work won't feel like labor. It will feel like language, the universe finally speaking back in words you understand. The second calling, for the Virgo born between September 2nd and September 11th. For you, the shift is not professional. It's profoundly human. A new connection, maybe romantic, maybe spiritual, maybe both, will draw you out of the fortress you built around your heart. This person will not arrive to complete you, but to reflect you. They'll see the part of you that hides behind logic, behind competence, behind that quiet need to have it all together. You'll resist at first. You'll want to analyze, to define, to predict the outcome. But this isn't a bond for the mind, it's a lesson for the soul. They will teach you that trust isn't built through control, it's built through surrender. That love doesn't always arrive when life is tidy, it often knocks when you're still sweeping up the debris of old fears. You'll find yourself breathing differently, feeling differently. And the ground beneath you, the one you've kept so stable, will begin to move. But don't fight it, Virgo. That trembling is the sound of your heart relearning its rhythm. The third calling, for the Virgo born between September 12th and September 22nd. Your journey this season is inward. There's something in you that's been dormant, not lost, not gone, just sleeping. Perhaps you've spent years playing small, staying practical, keeping your brilliance behind the curtain of humility. But something, maybe a loss, a confrontation, or simply a realization that you can't live half awake anymore, will ignite you. You'll remember what it feels like to be fully alive. To risk again. To create not for approval, but for truth. It might start quietly, an old hobby returns, a new dream whispers your name, a forgotten passion stirs. But once it begins, you can't go back. The shell cracks. The wings unfold. And you realize you were never meant to stay grounded forever. Across these paths, career, connection, and calling, there runs a single thread, imbalance that leads to flight. You'll lose your footing, yes. But only to discover wings. It's the paradox of transformation. To ascend, you must first let go of stability. The caterpillar doesn't cling to the branch, it dissolves. The seed doesn't hold itself together, it bursts. And you, Virgo, you who have mastered the art of control, are now being asked to master the art of release. If you listen closely, you'll feel that this isn't just astrology. It's alchemy. Each event in your life is a sacred conversation, the universe saying, trust me enough to let me surprise you. You don't need to be ready for what's coming. You only need to be open. Because readiness belongs to the mind, but openness belongs to the soul. So when the ground shifts, don't cling. Spread your arms. Feel the air catch beneath you. Because this time, the fall isn't the end, it's the beginning of your flight. There's something profoundly beautiful about watching Virgo, the perfectionist, the planner, the quiet healer, step into the chaos of becoming. Every cycle of imbalance carries its own music, and perhaps the point was never to dance perfectly, but to remember that even in the stumble, there is grace. Because sometimes, the universe doesn't give you solid ground. Sometimes, it gives you sky. When Virgo lets go, the secret dream waiting beyond control. There comes a time in every Virgo's life when the universe gently takes the pen from their hand and says, "Let me write this part for you." It's unsettling, almost offensive to the part of you that believes peace is earned through precision. You've built your life on the faith that structure protects you, that if you plan carefully enough, love deeply enough, and think far enough ahead, nothing can fall apart. But lately, Virgo, something inside you whispers that perhaps you've mistaken control for safety, and that the real miracle begins the moment you loosen your grip. You see, the universe has a strange way of honoring those who prepare. It waits. It watches. And then, when everything is in place, it introduces a twist that no amount of planning could predict. Not as punishment, but as an invitation. The message is ancient and merciful. Some blessings only enter when you stop trying to manage them. Think of the great builders of history, the architects who designed cathedrals knowing they'd never live to see the final stone placed. They worked not for certainty, but for faith. Faith that what they began would continue beyond them. That's the kind of faith being asked of you now, Virgo. Not the faith that everything will go according to plan, but that even when it doesn't, it's still sacred. Letting go does not mean giving up. It means making space for divine choreography. You've spent years mastering the art of order, but life's most beautiful moments, love, inspiration, revelation, are born from the unpredictable. You can't schedule grace. You can't spread your destiny. The universe flows like water, and water never asks permission from the stone. It simply moves, reshaping everything it touches. And maybe that's what this season is for you, a gentle flooding. A washing away of the old need to control outcomes, to anticipate every turn. You're being asked to trust the current that carries you. The same current that aligned every molecule in your body, that wrote every coincidence you've ever called luck. There's something tender, almost ancient, in this surrender, as if your soul remembers that before you learned to organize, you already knew how to flow. But there's another layer to this. Beneath all your achievements, beneath the schedules and the service, lies a secret dream, one you've buried so deep that even you sometimes forget it exists. Maybe it's the dream of freedom. Maybe it's love in its purest, uncalculated form. Maybe it's the wish to create something that has no purpose other than joy. You tucked it away long ago, calling it unrealistic, impractical, not now. But the universe has not forgotten. In the quiet moments, when the house sleeps, when the noise of the day fades, that dream stirs. It hums through your bones, reminding you that logic was never meant to silence longing. You've spent so long trying to deserve your miracles that you forgot. They were never rewards, they were birthrights. And perhaps this is what the universe is orchestrating right now, the resurrection of your secret dream. Not through force, not through planning, but through permission. Permission to believe again. To open your hands and let what's meant for you find its way home. Virgo, the truth is this, your need for control was never a flaw. It was a language of love. It was how you showed care for the fragile beauty of life. But now, you are being invited to learn a new language, the language of trust. The kind of trust that doesn't demand proof. The kind that understands timing as sacred, not scheduled. When you release the need to predict, something remarkable happens. Life starts speaking to you. Synchronicities multiply. The right people appear. The right opportunities unfold without effort. It's not magic, it's alignment. And alignment is simply the soul remembering its rhythm with the divine. So tonight, as you listen, let this be your gentle ritual. Whisper to yourself, I have a secret dream, and I'm allowing myself to believe. Say it out loud. Type it in the comments. Not as an algorithmic act, but as a spiritual one. Words have power, and yours will open a door that's been waiting for years to be touched. This isn't about letting go of control because you've lost it. It's about realizing you never needed it to begin with. What's meant for you has always been orbiting nearby, waiting for the moment you'd stop managing and start receiving. And when you finally do, you'll see, The universe was never taking things away. It was simply clearing the path for your secret dream to find its way home. Because sometimes, Virgo, the most extraordinary miracles arrive the moment you stop trying to make them happen. The test of trust, Virgo's voluntary rebirth. It never begins with thunder. It begins with something small, an unexpected message, a strange coincidence, a moment that feels too precisely timed to be random. For Virgo, that's how the test arrives. Quiet. Unassuming. The kind of moment you could easily dismiss if you weren't paying attention. But deep down, you know, this isn't coincidence. This is choreography. This is the universe setting the stage for the lesson you've spent a lifetime avoiding. Trust. You've always believed trust must be earned, measured, tested. You built your world brick by brick, each decision anchored in logic, each step carefully weighed against reason. You learned that preparation was power, that control meant safety. But what if the universe is asking you now to lay down that armor? What if the next chapter of your life demands that you stop predicting and start allowing? This moment, this small, almost invisible event, is not random. It's the test of trust. Not a test you can study for, not one you can prepare to pass. It's the kind that strips you bare. A choice between the old instinct to manage and the new call to surrender. Between the security of logic and the trembling voice of intuition whispering, "Go this way." It's terrifying, isn't it? To realize that control, the very thing that once protected you, might now be the very thing that's keeping you from evolving. Because growth never happens inside safety. The universe doesn't test you to expose your weakness, it tests you to reveal your strength, the strength that lives in your willingness to trust what you cannot yet see. In that instant, Virgo, life becomes a mirror. Every fear of uncertainty, every habit of overthinking, every hesitation in your chest, it all surfaces at once. But beneath that noise, there's something quieter, older. A knowing. It's the same knowing that guided sailors before maps existed, the same trust that allowed seeds to sprout through darkness toward light they couldn't yet feel. That's the trust you're being called to reclaim, not blind faith, but ancestral wisdom. The kind that says, "I don't know how this will work, but I know I'm meant to follow it." And when you do, when you finally choose trust over control, something remarkable happens. The old version of you, the one who needed to plan every step, begins to dissolve. Not in pain, but in peace. It's not destruction. It's release. Like an eagle shedding its feathers mid-flight, realizing it was never meant to stay close to the ground. This is your voluntary rebirth. Rebirth doesn't come from being broken by life, it comes from willingly opening your hands to it. It's the moment you stop negotiating with destiny and start dancing with it. You don't lose yourself in this process, you simply outgrow the version of you that needed guarantees. You shed the skin that feared mistakes, the voice that said, "I'll believe it when I see it." Because now, you've learned to see it precisely because you believe. The truth is, Virgo, you were never meant to control everything. You were meant to align. There's a sacred rhythm pulsing through your life right now. Subtle, but unstoppable. The delays, the detours, the disruptions, they are not proof of failure, they are proof of divine intervention. You're being rerouted toward the life that matches your evolution, not your expectations. And yes, it will feel like dying at first. The death of certainty always does. But what's really dying is the version of you that mistook control for wisdom. What's being born is something luminous, a consciousness that trusts, that listens, that flows with grace instead of fear. You'll kill the version that needed control and be reborn into the one that trusts. That's the hidden promise behind this test. It's not about losing power, it's about reclaiming it from fear. Because trust isn't weakness, it's the ultimate act of strength. To walk forward without seeing the path is the purest faith a soul can express. So when the next unexpected message arrives, when life interrupts your perfect plan again, pause. Feel it. Let your intuition speak before your mind interrupts. This isn't chaos. It's initiation. The universe doesn't send you uncertainty to confuse you, it sends it to free you. And when you finally surrender to that flow, when you let life lead for once, you'll notice something beautiful. Everything begins to align, not because you controlled it, but because you finally stopped resisting it. So breathe, Virgo. Trust the current. You're not losing control, you're finding divine timing. You're not falling apart, you're falling into place. And as you stand in that stillness between the old and the new, between reason and faith, you'll realize, this was never a test to pass. It was a doorway to cross. Because trust, dear Virgo, is the bridge between who you were and who you're about to become. And now, Virgo, take a breath. Feel the quiet returning to your chest, the same calm that was waiting for you at the very beginning, before the waves of emotion, before the questions, before the turning point. What once felt like chaos no longer threatens your balance. It has become a part of your rhythm, a natural movement in the greater harmony of your becoming. The unexpected that once frightened you is now the gentle hand guiding you back to yourself. There is a sacred truth unfolding beneath all that seemed uncertain. Nothing was ever working against you. Every delay, every detour, every unanswered prayer was simply the universe rearranging the pieces in your favor. The storm wasn't meant to break you, it was meant to open space for clarity to enter. You were never losing control. You were being invited to trust something wiser than control. To see that divine order often looks like disorder when it first arrives. And so, as this message comes to an end, let it also mark a beginning. You are not standing at the close of a story, but at the threshold of a new alignment. What's coming next will not demand effort, only openness. You don't have to prepare by planning, only by softening. You don't have to predict, only to recognize what already feels right when it appears. The same energy that once made you cautious will now make you discerning, capable of welcoming what is truly meant for you. Before you go, take this as a small act of power. Type in the comments, "I trust what's unfolding for me." Because this isn't just a sentence, it's a declaration, a vibration that ripples through every other Virgo listening right now. Together, you create a field of faith, a quiet current reminding the world that patience and surrender can coexist with strength. The unexpected is still approaching, but now, you no longer brace for it, you breathe with it. You are ready, Virgo. Ready not because you know what's coming, but because you finally understand that everything that comes is here to help you grow. Trust the stillness. Trust the timing. Trust that the universe never takes without giving back in greater measure. The circle closes, and yet, it begins again.